A ruthless mobster finds a woman abandoned by her pimp, and as danger surrounds them, secrets unravel that could change their lives forever. The dimly lit room was filled with smoke. A heavy chandelier hung above, casting a glow over the black leather chairs. At the center, a man sat. He wore an expensive suit, his shirt open at the collar. His name was Marco, a mobster known for his power and ruthlessness. He leaned back, a smirk playing on his lips. Across from him, a woman trembled. Her name was Mia. She had been left for dead by her pimp. Her clothes were torn and her makeup was smeared, but there was fire in her eyes. "You can't scare me," she said, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. Marco chuckled, leaning forward. "You think you're tough? You're just a broken toy." He waved a hand, and two of his men stepped closer. They were big, muscular. "You have two choices, sweetheart. Work for me or end up like that loser who threw you out." She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. Mia inhaled sharply. She knew the stakes. She had seen what Marco did to people who crossed him. "And what makes you think I'll work for you?" She tried to sound brave, but doubt crept in. Marco's gaze remained cold, unyielding. He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. "Because I can give you a chance," Marco said. "A chance to turn your life around. You've got spirit. I like that." He leaned closer, his voice low. "But you need to understand something. Once you're in, there's no way out." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. Mia felt her heart race. Could she trust him? The danger was real, but so was the opportunity. "What's the catch?" she asked, pushing her fear aside. Marco smirked again, his eyes glinting with interest. "No catch, just loyalty. You might even like it." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But first, you're coming with me." She was about to cross a line. Mia took a step back, processing his words. "What do you want from me?" she demanded, trying to mask her anxiety. Marco shrugged, his demeanor calm. "Just a little job, simple for someone like you. You deliver, I deliver. We both win." "A job?" It sounded too easy. "What kind of job?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. Marco leaned back in his chair, his smile returning. "You'll be my eyes and ears. I need someone close to a certain person. You fit the bill." He paused, measuring her reaction. "But it comes with risks. You ready for that?" He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. Mia hesitated. She knew the risks all too well. "And what if I refuse?" she asked, her heart pounding. Marco's eyes turned hard. "Then you can head back to the streets. I can't promise how long you'll last." His words hung in the air. It was a threat wrapped in a choice. She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. "Fine, I'll do it," Mia said, her voice firmer now. Marco's expression shifted. "You sure? Once you're in, there's no backing down," he reminded her. She nodded, her resolve hardening. "I'm tired of running. Let's get this over with," she replied, determination in her eyes. He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. Marco stood up, adjusting his suit. "Good. Let's make it official." He pulled out a contract from his jacket. "Sign here." "It's just a formality." Mia took the pen, her hand steady. As she signed, she felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was a new beginning, but also a dark path. She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. He looked over the contract, satisfied. "Welcome aboard, Mia. You'll get your first assignment tonight." She nodded, feeling the weight of her decision. "And if I do this, I get a chance at a real life?" she asked, searching his face for truth. Marco's smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "If you play your cards right, sweetheart, you might just get more than you bargained for." He thought he was in control. He wasn't. Marco handed her the contract, his eyes piercing. "Time to get to work, Mia. We start tonight." Mia frowned, folding the paper in her hands. "What's the plan? You don't just throw me into the fire without a clue." She wasn't ready to be some pawn in his game. She sensed his arrogance, and it rubbed her the wrong way. He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. Marco stepped closer, his tone firm. "You'll be at the club tonight. Keep an eye on the bartender. He's my guy, but he's been acting strange." He crossed his arms, leaning slightly. "You can do that, right?" The challenge was clear. He expected her to comply without question. She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. "Why do you think I'd be good at that?" She shot back, meeting his gaze. "I'm not some mindless worker bee. I have my own instincts." A flicker of defiance lit up her eyes. She wasn't going to roll over for him. He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. Marco smirked, leaning back slightly. "That's what I like about you. But don't mistake my kindness for weakness." He straightened, his expression serious. "You think you can play this game? It's not just about instincts, it's about survival." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact, neither blinked. "Is that a threat?" Mia's voice rose. She stepped closer, challenging him. "I'm not scared of you, Marco. You might have power, but I've got my pride." Her heart raced, but she held her ground. Marco's intensity was magnetic, but she wouldn't let it distract her. He leaned in, his voice low and steady. "Pride won't save you from the mess you're in." Their eyes locked, tension crackling between them. "Just remember, I run this show. You're here to follow my lead." She felt the heat of his words, a spark igniting something inside her. "Let's see if you can handle it." He smiled, and she wondered if he was right about her after all. The next hit was closer than they knew. Mia crossed her arms, her heart racing. "What's the real deal here, Marco?" she asked, her voice firm. "I'm not just some puppet. If I'm in, I want to know the rules." Marco leaned against the wall, his expression unreadable. "Fair enough. Let's set some ground rules." He pushed off the wall and walked around the room, thinking. "First, you don't speak to anyone I don't tell you to." "Got it?" he said, turning to face her. "Second, no personal stuff. This is business. You keep your life separate." Mia nodded, feeling the weight of his words. It made sense, but she wasn't done. "And what if I don't like the way you do business?" she challenged. Marco's eyes narrowed. "Then you need to remember what I said earlier. There's a price for defiance." Mia clenched her fists, the tension rising. "What's the actual threat here, Marco?" she pressed, her voice steady. He stepped closer, his tone dropping. "You cross me and you'll regret it. I don't play games. You want a chance? Stay in line." She could feel the heat radiating off him, but she refused to back down. "And if I do everything right? What's in it for me?" There was a flicker of curiosity in her voice. Marco smirked, pacing again. "You prove yourself and I can set you up. Real money, a safe place. No more streets, no more pimps." He paused, letting the promise sink in. "Get too comfortable, and you might even get a taste of power." Mia's interest peaked, but she kept her guard up. "And what if I cross that line?" "Then you're out," he replied bluntly. "But not the way you think. You'll wish you'd stayed quiet." His tone hinted at the dangers lurking behind his smile. Mia felt a chill, but kept her chin up. "You're not intimidating me, Marco. I know how to handle myself." He chuckled, leaning back against the wall again. "We'll see about that. Just remember to keep your head down. One slip-up, and you'll lose everything." Mia held his gaze, feeling the weight of his words. "Understood," she said, determination in her eyes. But deep down, she wondered if she was stepping into something darker than she anticipated. The next hit was closer than they knew. Mia stood at the entrance of the club, her heart pounding with the bass thumping inside. Marco was right beside her, surveying the crowd. "Remember, stay sharp," he said, his voice low. She nodded, feeling the weight of his gaze. The club was packed, laughter and music echoing. It was the perfect place for secrets, but her nerves were buzzing. "What if I mess up?" she asked, glancing at him. Marco smirked, but his eyes were serious. "You won't. Just keep your ears open. Watch the bartender." He paused, leaning closer. "And don't forget who's in charge here." There it was, the reminder of his power. She felt the tension between them. "I get it, Marco. But you don't have to act like a king," she shot back, crossing her arms. His smile widened. "You think you can resist me?" They moved through the crowd, Marco leading the way. He stopped near the bar, gesturing for her to take a seat. "Order something. Look natural." Mia rolled her eyes but did as he said. "I can handle myself," she replied, scanning the bar. The bartender glanced her way. He looked nervous. "What do you know about him?" she asked. Marco leaned against the bar, his presence magnetic. "He's my eyes, but lately he's been off. That's why you're here." As she waited for her drink, Marco watched her intently. "You know, you're not as tough as you think," he said, leaning closer. The heat of his body was unsettling. "You act tough, but I see the fear hiding behind those eyes." Mia shot back. "And you think you know me? I'm not some toy you can play with." His smirk deepened. "Let's see how long you can keep up that act." "It's all a game, Mia." The bartender slid her drink across the bar. Marco picked it up, handing it to her as their fingers brushed. "Keep an ear out. Don't let him see you sweat." She took a sip, trying to focus. But Marco leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. "You'll find that I can be persuasive," he whispered. She turned to him, meeting his gaze head-on. "I won't be a pawn, Marco. You can't control me." Suddenly, he stepped back, eyes glinting with amusement. "We'll see about that." "The night is young." He straightened, glancing around the club. Mia felt the heat of the challenge, the tension thick between them. "Just don't underestimate me." His smile softened, but it was still a warning. "I wouldn't dream of it. But remember, I don't play fair." She took a breath, feeling the stakes rise. "Let the games begin," she replied, the fight sparking. The next hit was closer than they knew. Mia adjusted her dress as she stepped into the gala. It was a world of glitz and glam, but she focused on the task at hand. Marco stood beside her, exuding confidence in his tailored suit. "Remember the plan," he said, scanning the room. "Stay close to me. We'll find out what we need." She nodded, her heart racing. This was no ordinary night. The room buzzed with laughter and chatter. Waiters moved quickly, serving drinks. Mia kept her eyes peeled, looking for the bartender from the club. "Look over there," Marco whispered, nodding towards a small group near the bar. "That's him." Mia's pulse quickened. She took a breath and moved closer, trusting Marco's lead. "Act natural," he reminded her, a hint of amusement in his tone. They approached the group, Marco chatting smoothly with the men. Mia hung back, watching. The bartender was leaning against the bar, his hands shaking slightly. "Something's off," she murmured to Marco. He glanced at her, a serious look crossing his face. "Keep your voice down. We need to hear what he's saying." She nodded, focusing on the conversation. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the auction stage. A man shouted, waving a document in the air. "This is all a scam," he yelled, drawing the crowd's attention. Mia's heart raced. She could see Marco tense beside her. "We need to stick close," he said, his eyes fixed on the chaos. Mia felt the energy shift. The atmosphere thickened with tension. Marco moved through the crowd, his presence magnetic. "Stay right behind me," he ordered. Mia matched his pace, adrenaline pumping. As they moved, she noticed the bartender slipping away from the group. "Marco!" she called, but he was already ahead of her. He didn't hear. She made a decision. "I have to follow him," she said, breaking away. Mia trailed the bartender outside, the cool air hitting her face. "Hey!" she called softly. He turned, and she saw fear in his eyes. "I just need to talk," she said, raising her hands. "I'm not here to hurt you." His body language was tense, but something sparked in his gaze. "They know," he whispered. "You have to get out." Just then, a figure stepped out of the shadows behind her. Marco's voice sliced through the night. "What did he tell you?" The next hit was closer than they knew. Marco moved closer, his eyes narrowing. "What did he tell you?" The tension crackled in the air, but Mia stood firm, trying to keep her composure. "He said they know. We need to act fast." Marco's jaw tightened, and he glanced around. "We can't be out here too long." "Marco," Mia started, her voice low. "I need to tell you something." He turned, curiosity mixed with annoyance. "Now's not the time," but she pressed on. "It's about my past. It's why I can't just follow orders." His expression softened, but he didn't speak. Mia took a breath, the memory flooding back. "I was 12 when my mom disappeared. No warning. One day she was there, the next gone." She felt her heart race, the pain still fresh. She was in trouble, but I didn't understand. I waited for her to come back. Marco studied her, his tough exterior wavering. "It took years to accept she wasn't coming home. I was alone with my dad, drowning in his anger and addiction. I had to be strong." Mia's voice shook a little. "Everything I've done since has been to survive. I can't just be a pawn in your game." Marco remained silent, the weight of her words hanging between them. "Survival is tough," he finally said, his voice softer. "You're tougher, but you can't do this alone, Mia. You need to trust someone." She looked up, meeting his eyes. "You think I can trust you?" Marco stepped back slightly, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "I'm no saint, but we're in this together." Mia bit her lip, feeling the rush of vulnerability. "You might think I'm weak for sharing this, but it's real. I need to be in control." Marco took a step closer again. "Control isn't always your choice. Sometimes you have to let someone else take the lead. We can work together, but you have to let me in." A moment hung heavy in the air, marking a shift. Then a voice broke through the tension. "Hey! You two need to move!" The urgency snapped them back to reality, the danger still looming. He thought he was in control. He wasn't. Mia glanced back at Marco, his eyes darting around as if he sensed something. "What are you thinking?" she whispered, but he didn't answer. The intensity in his gaze said it all. Then, out of nowhere, a group of men emerged from the shadows, their faces twisted in anger. "There they are!" one shouted, pointing straight at them. "Run!" Marco yelled, grabbing Mia's arm. They dashed down the alley, the sound of footsteps echoing behind them. "This way!" Marco pulled her into a narrow side street. They pressed against the cold brick, catching their breath. "What the hell was that?" Mia gasped, her heart racing. Marco kept his eyes on the street, his expression tense. "I don't know, but we need to get out of here, now." Mia felt a surge of fear but pushed it back. I can't go back to that life. I've fought too hard." Marco turned to her, his jaw clenched. "I get it, but I can't let them take you. I won't." His voice was low but fierce. "Stay close, we'll find a way out." She nodded, feeling a rush of gratitude. Maybe he was right. Maybe they were in this together. They moved quickly, slipping between buildings. Mia looked at Marco, and something shifted in her mind. "You really care, don't you?" she asked. He glanced at her, his face serious. "I didn't say that. I just can't let anyone else control you. You're better than that." The conviction in his voice made her chest tighten. "Thanks," she said softly, feeling a bond grow. But before she could process it, a figure appeared ahead. "Stop right there!" one of the men shouted from the other end of the alley. Marco's instincts kicked in. "Get behind me," he ordered, putting himself between her and the approaching threat. "I'll handle this." Mia's heart raced as she realized he was serious. "Marco, no!" she yelled, but he stepped forward, ready to confront the men. "I'm not afraid of you," Marco said, his voice steady. The men laughed. But Mia saw the determination in Marco's eyes. She couldn't let him face them alone. With her heart pounding, she moved beside him. "If he goes down, I go down too," she declared, her voice strong. The gang members hesitated, surprised by her stance. "You really think you can take us on?" one sneered. Marco shot her a look, a mix of surprise and pride. "Stay out of this, Mia," he warned, but she shook her head. Not a chance. In that moment, loyalty shifted. They were a team now, ready to face whatever came next. The danger wasn't over, but together they felt stronger. Someone was listening in the dark. They huddled in a quiet corner of the alley, catching their breath. The adrenaline was still pumping, but the danger felt distant for a moment. Mia looked at Marco, his sharp features softened by the dim light. "We need to talk," she said, her voice steady. "Yeah," Marco replied, leaning against the wall. "What's on your mind?" He crossed his arms, studying her. She felt the weight of his gaze. It made her heart race in a different way this time. "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" she asked, wanting to understand him. He sighed, the tension easing slightly. "More than I'd like to admit. You don't get into this life without scars." There was a pause, and Mia could see the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "What about you?" he asked, his tone shifting. "You've faced your own battles." Mia took a breath, feeling the urge to open up. "I've had to fight for everything. Trust me, I'm not as tough as I seem." Marco stepped closer, his presence warm. "I see strength in you. You're brave. You didn't back down when those guys came after us." A small smile tugged at her lips. "Maybe I've learned a thing or two." She looked down for a moment, gathering her courage. "But it's not just the past that scares me. It's the future. I don't want to end up alone again." Marco's expression softened further, and for a brief moment the world around them faded. "I won't let that happen," he said, his voice low and sincere. In that moment, Mia felt a connection spark between them. They stood close, the air between them charged. She could feel the pull, the almost kiss that hovered just out of reach. But before she could say anything, a noise echoed from the street. They both turned. The moment shattered just like that. "We should move," Marco said, breaking the spell. But Mia wasn't ready to leave this connection just yet. The next hit was closer than they knew. Mia and Marco moved quietly down the alley, but the energy felt off. Mia glanced at him, her heart still racing. "Marco, do you think they're still following us?" she asked, scanning the shadows. Marco's eyes narrowed. "We need to stay alert. Something doesn't feel right." The tightness in his voice made her worry. They reached a dead end, a brick wall looming in front of them. Marco let out a frustrated breath. "We need to find a way around. There has to be—" Just then, a loud crash echoed behind them. They both turned. "This way!" Marco grabbed Mia's hand and pulled her into a side door that swung open. Inside, they found themselves in a dimly lit storage room. Boxes stacked high surrounded them. Mia's heart thudded against her chest. "What now?" she whispered. Marco's eyes darted around, searching for a way out. "We'll wait it out," he said. But as they caught their breath, Marco's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, frowning at the screen. "A message from the bartender," he said, his voice tense. Mia leaned closer. "What does it say?" Marco's fingers moved swiftly. "He's saying they're coming for us. He found something, some kind of document." "Document? What document?" She felt a rush of panic. "Does it involve us?" Marco's expression darkened. He didn't say, but he mentioned a witness. Before Mia could respond, Marco's phone buzzed again. "What's it say now?" She watched as his face fell. "It's a picture of you with your pimp." Mia felt her stomach drop. "What? No, that can't be." Marco shook his head. "They know who you are. We're in deeper than I thought." Just then, they heard footsteps outside the door. Marco shoved his phone back in his pocket. "We need to move. Now." They pressed against the wall, holding their breath. Mia's thoughts raced. Who could they trust? She could feel the walls closing in. What if their escape was all an illusion? Mia leaned against the cold wall, her heart pounding. Marco's face was tense, the weight of their situation settling in. "What now?" she whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. Marco looked at her, his eyes dark. "We need to think. Fast." The footsteps outside grew louder, and the urgency in the air thickened. "They can't find us here," Mia murmured, panic creeping in. Marco shook his head. "We can't stay. We need to get out." He moved to the door, peering through the crack. "If we time it right." His voice trailed off, but Mia felt a swell of frustration. "We can't keep running like this." He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. She stepped forward, her voice rising. "You won't keep me safe forever. I can't be your shadow." Marco turned, surprise etched on his face. "That's not what I want," he shot back, his voice sharp. "I'm trying to protect you, Mia." The heat between them was palpable. She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. "I don't need your protection," she said, her voice trembling. "I can handle myself." Marco's jaw clenched. "You think you're strong, but you're putting yourself in danger. I care about you." The air hung heavy as the truth sat between them like a chasm. He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. Mia took a step back, feeling the distance grow. Caring means letting me be free, not controlling everything. Marco's eyes flashed with hurt. "I'm not trying to control you. I just want to keep you alive." The tension was suffocating. "Maybe I don't need saving," Mia replied, her voice low. She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. "We're a team, remember?" Marco said, desperation creeping in. "I can't lose you." But Mia shook her head. "Maybe it's time to let go." His expression crumbled. "You're walking away from us." She felt a knot form in her throat. This isn't about pride. It's about survival. Before Marco could argue, the door creaked. They both froze, eyes wide. The moment stretched, and Mia thought maybe this was the end of everything. She was about to cross a line. Marco felt the heat rise in his chest. He stepped toward Mia, frustration bubbling over. "You think this is a game? I'm trying to keep you safe." His voice echoed in the dim storage room. Mia stood firm, her eyes unwavering. "I can't keep running forever. I need to make my own choices." "Choices?" Marco scoffed. "What kind of choices are you making? Running back to him?" He gestured angrily. "It's dangerous out there." Mia crossed her arms, defensive. "At least I know what I'm up against. I can handle it." He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. "Can you?" Marco challenged, his tone shifting from anger to concern. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. "Look, I know you're strong, but this isn't just about you. I can't lose you, Mia. I won't let that happen." She answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. Mia's heart softened for a moment. "And what if I want to take that risk?" she shot back. Marco clenched his fists. "Then you can't say, 'I didn't try to save you.'" He turned abruptly, pacing. "I'd give up everything to protect you. Power, money, even my pride." He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. "Why would you do that?" Mia asked, confusion written across her face. Marco paused, turning back to face her. "Because I care. Because it's the right thing to do. I've made mistakes, and I need to fix them. I can't keep pretending I don't want to help you." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. Mia felt the weight of his words. Their eyes locked, and for a moment the world outside faded away. "But what does that mean for us?" she asked quietly. Marco took a step forward, determination in his expression. "It means I'll fight for you, even if it costs me everything." Just then, the door rattled, interrupting their moment. The danger was closer than they imagined. The next hit was closer than they knew. Mia's heart raced as the door rattled again. She looked at Marco, panic flooding her. "We don't have much time," she whispered. Marco nodded, his jaw tightening. "We need to figure this out now. What do you want, Mia?" His voice was sharp, but there was an edge of fear beneath it. "I want to be free," she said, her voice firm. "Not just from him, but from all this." She waved her hand, indicating their chaotic world. Marco stepped closer, frustration bubbling. "Free doesn't mean running back to danger. You're playing with fire." He ran a hand through his hair, trying to calm down. "You need to see that." He kept his voice low, careful with each word. "Say it straight," he said. "No games." A small silence cut the tension. "I know what I'm facing." Mia stepped back, feeling the wall press against her. "But I can't be your project. I won't be something you save." Marco's eyes widened. "This isn't about saving you. It's about keeping you alive." His voice rose, echoing in the small room. "There's a difference," she answered fast, then fell quiet. "I'm not afraid," she replied. "Not tonight." He chose the next words with care. Mia took a deep breath. "If you really care, you'll understand. Love isn't about control. It's about equality. I can't be with someone who thinks they know what's best for me all the time." The tension thickened, and Marco's face softened. "So, you want me to just step back, let you do whatever?" He moved first, not giving anyone time to think. He checked the room and kept his back to the wall. She shook her head and took a step closer. "Yes, I need to make my own choices," she insisted. "I must take risks. I need my own strength." Marco nodded slowly, digesting her words. "Okay, but that means we're both choosing this. Together." He stepped forward, a hint of hope in his eyes. "If you want this, we can fight side by side. No more controlling. Just us." She stood her ground, eyes steady. She watched his hands, not his smile. They held eye contact. Neither blinked. Mia felt a spark of possibility. She took a step toward him, the fear easing. "Then let's choose each other." The door shook again, louder this time. A decision loomed. Would they stand together against the storm, or let it tear them apart? Mia and Marco stood in the storage room, the tension still heavy. Outside they could hear muffled voices. Marco turned to her, determination shining in his eyes. "We need to move now. Together." She nodded, feeling her heart steady. "Okay, let's do this." He pushed the door open slowly, peeking out. They stepped into the narrow hallway. Marco took the lead, his body tense and aware. They moved quietly, following the sound of the voices. Mia stayed close, her heart racing but her mind clear. "Are we sure about this?" she whispered. Marco glanced back, a small smile breaking through. "If we get caught, we fight. No more running." They rounded a corner and spotted a fire exit sign. Marco pointed. "That way. We can get out." With new energy, they sprinted toward it. As they reached the door, the voices grew louder. Marco pulled the door open, and they burst into the night air. Freedom felt palpable, but danger still lurked. Outside, the city lights shone bright, casting long shadows. Mia took a deep breath, feeling alive. "We made it," she said, glancing at Marco. He smiled, but his eyes were serious. "This is just the beginning. We have to stay smart." She nodded, feeling a rush of hope. "I know. I want to fight for us." They walked side by side under the stars. Marco reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. It felt right. "I care about you, Mia. This is our chance." She squeezed his hand, warmth spreading through her. "I trust you. Let's build something real." Marco nodded, a wave of relief washing over his face. Together then, as they navigated through the dark streets, Mia felt lighter. It was a new beginning, not just for her, but for both of them. No more shadows, no more running. "So what's next?" she asked, glancing at him. Marco smiled, a spark in his eyes. "We find a safe place. Then we start fresh." Their laughter echoed down the alley, a sound of hope. "And no more secrets, right?" Mia teased. "Right," he replied. "Just us." Always. What would you do to protect someone you care about? Share your thoughts in the comments below. He thought he was in control. He wasn't.